Hey guys, AJ here, back with another one. So today we're going to go over what I have to call the dumbest article I've ever read in my entire life. It's actually based on a book called Ejaculate Responsibly, which I'm not going to read the book because this article is dumb, so the book has to be even worse. So let's get into the article. It's pretty bad. So it says, as the midterm elections approach, rallies across the country continue to address the fight to protect women's reproductive rights. After the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade in June, 5 states are leaving the decision of abortion access to voters in November, which I agree with. It should have been left up to the states at the beginning. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that the Roe v. Wade ruling was shaky and really they should have worked to codify abortion into law because Roe v. Wade probably wouldn't stand. So I believe that if you don't believe in abortion, move to a state where it's banned. And if you do believe in it, pack up your car, take an Uber, get on a bus, and move to a state where it does allow it. And if you do want things to change in your state, either way, vote. That's the beautiful thing about America. We have freedom. So, Gabrielle Blair, mother of 6 and creator of the popular blog Design Mom, says that the best way to address unwanted pregnancies that led to abortion is quite simple. Now, I did a little bit of research on this Gabrielle Blair. She's Mormon and a mother of 6, and she's married. So you would think that she wouldn't have this modern woman no accountability argument, but this just proves that women of all religions, creeds, whatever, can all have this modern woman, it's everyone else's fault but mine type of mindset. So she says, men are causing the pregnancies. Men are doing this through irresponsible ejaculations, and they could easily change that. I want to shift the argument away from women's bodies and women's decision making. So let's stop there. She's trying to say she wants to shift the argument of abortion from women's decision making. Women control access to sex. If a woman doesn't want to have sex or chooses not to have sex, 99% of the time, except for issues of the R word, sex doesn't happen and pregnancy doesn't happen. How can you take accountability or the argument away from the gender that controls access to sex? And that's the flaw of this whole argument. So she says, I want to shift the argument away from women's bodies, women's decision making, controlling women, and shift it towards what men could be doing to prevent unwanted pregnancies because they have a lot of control. How do we have control? How? Women have 41 different forms of birth control. They have Plan B. They can make a guy wear a condom. They can wait until they're married to have sex. They can abort, and they can even give babies up for adoption. Women have all the responsibility here. So, and shift it towards what men could be doing to prevent unwanted pregnancies because men have a lot of control. Way more than we've ever specified or given them credit for. Blair suggests that men cause unwanted pregnancies in her book, Ejaculate Responsibly, a whole new way to think about abortion, which makes 28 arguments designed to show how focusing on women's bodies ignores the bigger problem, that if a man is fertile, he is fertile every day, and there are no restrictions on where he could ejaculate. You could reduce abortions. You could eliminate abortions without making an abortion law if you are legislating responsible ejaculations. If there's any accountability, require men to be careful with their sperm. We require no accountability. If we required any, it would make a huge, huge impact. So this woman's already on drugs. And I'm going to tell you why. Men can get caught for child support. Men can go to jail for child support. Men can have their passports taken, licenses revoked. There are men that are accountable for children that aren't their own. It's like 37% of children born to marriages or serious relationships are not the father's child. So there are men being held accountable for children that aren't theirs. There are men who were married and in the While their divorce was being finalized, their wife got pregnant because he's the father. That child is considered his legally. So this woman has no clue what she's talking about and still ignores the fact that women control access to sex. Let's get back into it. She says, all he has to do is avoid putting the sperm in a woman's vagina. That's it. He can put it in a condom. He could put it anywhere else. Now, condoms, according to Planned Parenthood, are 80% effective because you factor in user error. So condoms should be a backup method. Every woman that's not on some type of birth control, in my opinion, wants to have a baby. If she's not using the NuvaRing, if she's not using the IUD, the copper kind or the hormone kind, if she's not using the shot, the patch, spermicide, the sponge, all those kinds, there's something wrong. And guys, for all the guys who are listening, don't ever believe a woman if she says she's on birth control. Always wrap it up, always, because you can't trust anyone with your destiny. So let's get back into the article. I digress. Blair's journey to ejaculate responsibly started in 2018 with the Brett Kavanaugh thing, blah, blah. She remembers feeling frustrated by watching a group of men discuss abortion and women's bodies. Blair took her frustrations to Twitter and created a now viral thread detailing why men need to take more responsibility in the abortion conversation and making the argument that a man can produce 365 babies in a year if he ejaculates every day. Now, let's look at that argument here. In history, only 40% of men have ever reproduced. Only a small group of men around the world actually have the privilege of having children. And the guys that are having multiple children by multiple women, that's a small, select group of men. In the black community, 54% of black men are single and childless. 30% are married. That means that 16% of men are the ones that are responsible for the 74% of out-of-wedlock births. Let's think about that for a second. 84% of black men are doing what we're supposed to do, and that's not knocking up chicks and not paying child support and all of that. 16% of men are the ones that are sleeping with all of the rest of the women, and those women know that these guys all have 10 baby mamas. So where's the accountability there? She says, it's not a huge ask, but we haven't asked men to do it. We've never pointed out that your bodies are causing the pregnancies. You are 50 times more fertile than women. For every fertile day a woman has, she has 50 fertile days because men are fertile 24 hours a day their entire life from puberty on. Women ovulate 12 to 14 hours a month from puberty to menopause. That's it. Every time a man has sex, which a woman allows him to, he could potentially impregnate someone. He's fertile every time he has sex. Data on the exact number of abortions that occur in the United States every year varies. 3 states, California, Maryland, and New Hampshire, did not provide data to CDC in 2019 when CDC reported 629,898 abortions nationally. The Guttmacher Institute, which includes data from all 50 states, puts the number closer to 930,160 abortions nationwide in 2022. Today, if an unwanted pregnancy occurs, access to a safe abortion has been eliminated in 13 states and has been restricted in a dozen others. And then she shows her little social media post. The abortion battle in the judicial system and at the ballot box will rage on. But in the meantime, Blair thinks that sharing the responsibility to prevent unwanted pregnancies can have a bigger impact on abortion than any legislation. When we talk about pregnancy prevention, we talk to women about it, which you should, because women control access to sex. If all women tomorrow said, we are not having sex, there won't be any abortions. If all women said, I'm going to be on birth control, and then I will require all men that sleep with me to wear condoms or it's SA, there will be no abortions. But this article is basically trying to put everything on men who 1 in 3 men between the ages of 16 and 30 are virgins or haven't had sex in a year. So her whole argument just falls apart. When we talk about pregnancy prevention, we talk to women about it. We talk to young girls about it. They need to get on the pill. They need to be so careful, says Blair. The work of pregnancy prevention sits entirely on women's shoulders. They're like, well, the woman just needs to ask the man to wear a condom. Insist he wears a condom. Why? How is that 50-50? Ugh. So she is responsible for her own body, and you're asking her to be responsible for the man's body. And if she doesn't ask, does it happen? No, that's a lie. Most young men don't want to have children. Most of the time, if an accident happens, let's just say that a woman gets pregnant. It's usually the man who asks her to not have the kid anyway. So I don't know what this whole argument is. Let's get back into it. Blair says that she has used birth control over the years and to plan her pregnancies with her husband. She knows the risks involved in carrying a child and the toll it can take on a woman's body. She says asking women to bear the physical, mental, and sometimes life-threatening burden of childbirth is not something that we should take lightly. Exactly, which is why women need to understand that it's up to them to protect themselves from pregnancy and to be very selective with the men that you allow to sleep with you. It's the most dangerous thing that people willingly do to their bodies, explains Blair. We ask 84% of women to have babies. I don't say we ask them. We just assume that they will. And we don't ask men to do anything that dangerous in those percentages. That is bullshit. How many men die on oil rigs? How many men die in coal mines? How many men die in wars? How many men fall off of scaffolding when they're building skyscrapers? How many men die doing all the dangerous jobs that keeps society going? There's male-dominated fields like bricklaying and climbing through the sewer, underwater welding. That's why men are 23 times more likely to die at work than women. And those fields are not 84% male, they're 95 to plus % male. So this is complete crap. She's saying because we ask women to have 84 children at 84% the rate, there's nothing comparable that men do at that rate to risk our lives. And that's bullshit. She says it's safe to assume that talking about pregnancy prevention doesn't sound sexy, but Blair promises she isn't trying to ruin the sex lives of anyone. She's just applying a common sense approach to a conversation that usually leaves people exhausted and further entrenched in their ideals. We have been debating this for decades, we never come to an agreement. It's not something that we're ever going to agree on. If we shift the conversation and take the emotion out of it and take the baby out of it, do we really avoid all of that? And all of a sudden, we talk to each other rationally about what we can really do. So, you can obviously tell that I think that this is bullshit. Women are the head of the security for their private parts. Okay? It's up to you to choose the right guy to share your body with. It's up to you to protect yourself. Because there's a lot of irresponsible men out there, unless you can vet who they are. And it's a small percentage of men, yes, but how are the rest of us good men going to check those small amount of men? Plus, we live in a free society. Women can choose who they want to have sex with. There's nothing that men can do to stop them. So if you have women in a free and functioning society getting pregnant by all the same irresponsible guys, I think there's actually a stat that felons have 34% more children than non-felons do. So take that as you will. Then this whole book and this whole argument is crap because it assumes that men have way more power than we actually do. Women control access to sex. Men control access to relationships. That's just the way It is. And it's not going to help anyone by taking the accountability from women and trying to once again, use this modern woman feminist argument about how everything is men's fault. To the author of this book, Gabrielle Blair, whoever you are, if this video ever gets to you, I don't know how into the feminism movement you are, but I would like for you to just get out like a OneNote or a Word document and just go through all the ills in the United States. Think about all the problems. But here's my challenge to you. See how far that you can get in any problem identifying or solution making without blaming men. Because you're never going to get anywhere if you put the sole responsibility or the blame all of society's ills on one particular gender. Well, that's all I have, you guys. Pardon my voice. The weather changed where I am, so got a little bit of going on. So you guys stay safe, and I'm out of here.